Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you to the State Fair Clothing Awards and Opportunities session that is part of our virtual Ohio 4-H conference. And I hope this will provide you with some good information to know about State Fair awards related to clothing. There are so many opportunities, and we just are really anxious to share those with you. So this is Christine Kendle, and I am speaking on behalf of our superintendent team of myself, Shannon Carter, and Jami Dellifield. In this session, we're going to talk about the Ohio State Fair Clothing Awards, including the Garment Fiber Awards and then the Project Achievement Awards. We're also going to gain a little bit of insight into writing and a winning application, and then also learn about the Clothing Skill-a-thon contest and the State Fashion Board, so some additional opportunities. And again, we have so many opportunities available within our clothing area at the Ohio State Fair that we just really hope that you'll take advantage of those and be a part of that project achievement area. So just starting off with the Fiber Awards, we have the Pig Suede Award, and some requirements for that award is that it must be a garment that includes a pig suede element. So there's not really specifics as to what that needs to look like, but they're a part of the garment does need to include pig suede in some way. That is sponsored by the Ohio Pork Shop, so we thank them for their sponsorship. There is a daily winner selected for that award, and the winner does receive a piece of pig suede. The next award is the Wool Award, and for the Wool Award, the garment must be made with 100% wool or a wool blend that is a minimum of 60% wool or a specialty wool fiber. That award is sponsored by the Ohio Sheep and Wool Program, the Ohio Sheep Improvement Association, and the Ohio Make It With Wool. There is a daily winner selected, and that winner receives a piece of wool. The next award is the Mohair Award. And for the Mohair Award, the individual must use mohair as a component of their garment. That award is sponsored by the Callan Cattle Company of Newark, Ohio. There's a daily winner selected, and that winner receives a mohair scarf. So for selections for the county and the state fiber awards, there's really no special county selection or nomination process. Some counties do have these awards within their county, and then they move those people on, but that's really not a requirement. So there isn't a limit in terms of the number of individuals that can come from a county and be nominees for these awards. So if you have, let's say, 2, 3, even 4 individuals that have sewn with wool, well, all of those individuals can be considered for the Wool Award. So it's not like you have to have just one individual that's designated. The member decides on their own to use that special fiber in their garment. It's constructed and selected for the Ohio State Fair, so the individual does have to be selected in their category for the Ohio State Fair to be able to compete for the Fiber Awards. And the county can send as many Fiber Award nominees as qualify for any given category. At the state fair, on their letter, they must self-identify so that we can pick out who those individuals are. So at the top of the clothing award letter, there's a place that will ask them to check if they have used wool, pig suede, or mohair in their garment. And so they need to check that. We also try to do a really good job when we're checking people in at their project areas for judging. We try to make sure that we catch all of those that have those special fiber categories so that we can make sure we get those judged. So we compile a list for each fiber award, and then we have designated clothing judges each day that are looking at those garments. And they look at the garments in the morning and in the afternoon sessions, and then they determine a daily winner for those fiber awards. Moving on to special awards, we have the Harbage Family 4-H Clothing Award. And this award is a cash award that's to be applied to college tuition or other career development opportunities. And each county can nominate one individual for this award. The nominee must be at least a junior in high school as of January 1st of 2020. So they could be a junior, they could be a senior. The individual, sometimes we have where they have graduated and they're in their first year of college, but they're still eligible age-wise for 4-H. And so all of those would be eligible for this special award. The nominee does need to complete an Ohio 4-H Achievement Award with a clothing emphasis, which we'll discuss this a little bit later in the presentation. They need to have a photo in their 2020 4-H Total Look outfit, and the selection criteria is based on their overall outstanding achievement in 4-H clothing, and then also evidence of leadership skills throughout their involvement in the 4-H program. An Outstanding of the Day is not required to be a finalist or to be the recipient of this award. The next special award is the Master Clothing Educator of Ohio Junior and Senior Award. So those are also cash awards pending availability of funding, and each county may nominate one individual in each age category. So you can have a junior, which that age is 12 to 15, and a senior, which the age is 16 and up. Now, please notice that these do not go in sync with our junior and senior categories for some of our clothing categories that are divided into a junior and senior age bracket. So the junior is 12 to 15 and the senior is 16 and up. And the nominee must be enrolled in a clothing construction project. What are those projects? Well, here's our list. These are all clothing construction projects that are applicable for this award. Oh, and my apologies, that does say Fashion Review Award, but this is actually for that Master Clothing Educator Award. So my apologies there. And with that award, any of these qualify for that construction piece. A little bit more about the Master Clothing Educator of Ohio Junior and Senior Awards. Again, the nominee does have to complete an Ohio 4-H achievement record with a photo in their 2020 Total Look outfit. And the selection criteria is based on overall outstanding achievement in 4-H clothing, evidence of leadership skills throughout their involvement in the 4-H program. And with this particular award, the individual must receive an Outstanding of the Day in their current year to be eligible for the award at State Fair. Our next award is the Fashion Review Award, and this award is to be determined. In the past, it has been a sewing machine, and we're working with our sponsors to determine what the award's going to be this year. Each county may nominate one individual for this award, and the nominee must be enrolled in one of the clothing construction projects. So notice on this slide, I have the some of them are in red and some of them are black. Preference for this award is given to more advanced sewers. So we're looking at individuals that are at least in an intermediate or advanced project, and those are what's in red, those intermediate and advanced projects. For the Fashion Review Award, nominees do need to complete the Ohio 4-H Achievement Record and have a photo of the participant in their 2020 4-H Total Look outfit. They turn that in at registration. The criteria is the overall outstanding achievement in 4-H clothing and their total look. And they must receive an Outstanding of the Day in the current year to be eligible for this award. A fairly new award to our lineup is the Rising Star Award, and this is sponsored by our clothing superintendent. The award winner receives a sewing machine, and each county may nominate one individual. This is for our younger 4-H members, so they are before the age of being eligible for those Master Clothing Educator Awards, so it's the 8 to 11 as of January 1st. And the nominee does need to be enrolled in a clothing construction project. So looking at this, the ones again that are in red are the categories that we're expecting to see these individuals in. So the beginners and some intermediate projects. So we're not expecting to see advanced sewers in this Rising Star Award. For the Rising Star Award, the nominee must complete the Ohio Achievement Record with a clothing emphasis and have a photo of the participant and their 2020 4-H Total Look outfit. This is turned in at registration. The selection criteria for this is the member's 4-H experience, which we know if they're 8 or 9, they may not have much experience. So we're also looking at their future aspirations. So where do they want to go with this 4-H clothing adventure that they've begun? An Outstanding of the Day is not required for this particular award. A new award to us this year is our Ohio 4-H Consumer Clothing Award. And this again is a cash award. Each county may nominate one individual, and the nominee must be enrolled in one of the consumer clothing projects. So that is Look Great for Less or Shopping Savvy. The nominee needs to complete the Ohio 4-H Achievement Record with a clothing emphasis, and they need to have a photo of themselves in their 2020 4-H Total Look outfit, which they'll turn in at registration. The selection criteria is overall outstanding achievement in 4-H clothing, which we understand this may be specifically in the areas of consumer projects. And that's really what we're looking for, since this is a consumer project award. What have they done with those consumer clothing projects? Also, evidence of leadership skills throughout their involvement in the 4-H program. And that leadership may be in the areas of clothing, or it may be elsewhere. An outstanding of the day is not required for this particular award. Looking at some county selections for these special awards, it's important to note that counties can nominate only one individual for a special award, and that the member can only be nominated for one special award annually. So for example, you may have an individual that would qualify for a Master Clothing Educator Award, the Harbage Family Award, and also the Fashion Revue Award. So an individual could qualify for all three of those. They can only be nominated for one, however. So they can't be put in more than one special award category. Now that said, a member can compete for a fiber award and also a special award. So someone who's taking a wool fiber could also be nominated for the Harbage Family Award, for example. Members can only win a special award category once in their 4-H career. So this isn't that they can only win one special award over their entire 4-H career, but they can only win once in a category. So if an individual wins the Junior Master Clothing Educator of Ohio Award, and they haven't aged up to be eligible for the next award category, they cannot continue to compete in the Master Clothing Educator Junior Award. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have questions about that, I do have my contact information at the end of this program, and you can take a look at that. Counties are encouraged to have eligible individuals in each category identified to help facilitate selection of nominees by county clothing judges. So one of the things that we do in our county is we make a list of which participants are eligible for each award. And then our clothing judges, at the end of the day, once they finish judging, they go back through, work together, and they look to see, okay, of the eligible individuals, who is going to be the best representative for that particular special award. Qualifying individuals must indicate their nomination on their State Fair clothing letter. So on their letter, there's a section that looks like this, and they need to mark that they have been nominated for that special award. And then they bring their Ohio 4-H Clothing Award record with them to judging and their photos. And so they'll want to make sure that they've marked off. This is one of the ways that we double check to make sure that we're not missing anybody that might have been nominated, because there's nowhere when counties are indicating which particular clothing project an individual is coming for, there's nowhere for them to indicate if they're being selected for a special award. And so we need to know that, again, on that 4-H letter. So nominees should bring their application to the special awards judging area. So there's a set of long tables on the south side of the building. We work really hard to make sure that we get all these collected. So even if they take them into the judging area with them, and the State Fashion Board members collect those, but we try to get them all to that special awards judging area that's kind of near the stage on the south side of the building. The applications must include the Ohio State Fair Clothing cover sheet, and that must be signed by the county 4-H educator. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have that specific Ohio State Fair Clothing Achievement Award that has that cover sheet on it. Special awards judges evaluate applications by category. We actually have a judging rubric that we use. And as I was going through, I was noting, well, this special award is based on leadership. This special award is based on experience and their overall experience in 4-H clothing projects. So those rubrics are actually arranged so that when we're looking at those special criteria, we're providing more emphasis to the areas that are being looked at for that award. Looking at that application, so as I mentioned, there is a clothing cover sheet, and you must indicate the award that's being applied for. The cover sheet must be signed, and I know sometimes this can be a challenge. The 4-H educator in a county might be also at state fair. They might be busy with a county fair. You know, there are a lot of different things that go into this. So please plan ahead and make sure that those are signed, because if they're not signed, we cannot consider those awards. They must contain a photo of the member in their current year garment. So there's a spot on that cover sheet for them to include that garment. And I believe a 4x6 picture fits in there just perfect. And another thing to note, sometimes an individual might be nominated for an award and be taking more than one project. So they might have, for example, a clothing for high school and college, and then they might also have an outerwear project. So if they are in both of those, they can submit their application at both judging times. And so they'll want to have a cover sheet that is for each one. So they'll want to have a cover sheet with their clothing for high school and college, and they'll want to have a cover sheet with their outerwear garment on it so that they can submit those at the appropriate times. There also is an Ohio 4-H achievement record part of this, and we're really looking for the clothing emphasis. So one of the things that I've seen people do very successfully with this particular application is that maybe we have an individual who takes clothing projects, but they also show beef, and maybe they also show hogs, and they've taken cooking as well. Okay, so just a very well-rounded 4-H member that has all of those different things. So what's really helpful to our judges, and what I, again, have seen be very successful in the past, is if the member separates out their clothing emphasis. So at the top, these are my clothing projects that I've taken, and this is what I've done. And then separate at the bottom, these are my beef, hog, and cooking projects that I've taken, and this is what I've done with them. And if there's not as much room for those beef, hog, and cooking projects at the bottom, so be it. You know, this is for a clothing award, and therefore we want that clothing emphasis. Do put the items in chronological order, and making note, if you separate out those clothing areas and you have those separate from your other areas of projects that you've taken, they should be chronological within those two different areas. So hopefully that's making sense. Again, if you have any questions, you're welcome to contact me via email, and I can get back with you with some more specifics. But chronological order, and that chronological order should have the most recent items listed first. So it's like we're doing a resume where you have your recent items and then on down to your less recent items. They do need to be neat, easy to read, and a consistent font. You can actually use a Word version of this, and you can enter them into that Word document so everything is typed. Now, we do not take off if the award application is not typed, as long as it is easy to read and very neat. So, you know, we understand that not everybody may have access to a printer or might not have access to that computer to be able to use that Word document. Regardless, we still want to see that in a very neat format. Proper punctuation and grammar is important, particularly in that 4-H story. And you do want to include the 4-H story and include the photo page. Our judges really enjoy reading those 4-H stories and get a lot of ideas, sometimes too many ideas, because they come to me and they say, Chris, we think you should do this or that, or, you know, oh, there's all these different things that they've read in those 4-H stories, cool things that people have done. So really toot your horn. You have to keep in mind when you're filling out this Ohio Achievement Record that we can't know what you don't tell us. So make sure that you include everything on there and be very complete in providing that information. wanted to take a moment and talk about some optional activities that we also have going on during the state fair, and the primary one being the sewing skill-a-thon. We added this a few years ago, and we found that members are really enjoying it, so we're going to keep going. It is an optional activity that's open to all Ohio State Fair clothing participants, and we do have 3 age divisions. So we have a junior age division, which is 8 to 11, an intermediate age division at 12 to 14, and a senior 15 and up. And those are as of January 1st, so the age as of January 1st. And those age divisions are regardless of sewing experience. So if an individual is 13, well, they land in that intermediate category, even if this is their very first year sewing. So, we've really played a lot with how to do this and make it even, and this is really the best way that we've come up with. So members can participate at any time during their state fair clothing judging, except when we have style shows going on. So we do have to end those a little bit before the morning style show and the afternoon style show, so that we can be respectful, and we have kids lining up. And so if a member comes in for a morning judging time and they want to participate in the afternoon skill-a-thon, that's perfectly fine. We also try to work with the fashion board members who are running those different project areas, so that they're sending members over during judging times while there's downtime, so that members can participate in the skill-a-thon if they'd like to. Please note that our afternoon skill-a-thon ends at 4 o'clock, so that we have time to allow for scoring and award selection. So we have to go through all of those sheets, and we try to keep them in order as we go, but we have to be able to make those award selections. And so 4 o'clock is our definite cutoff. If there are members that are participating in the skill-a-thon at that 4 o'clock time, they're going to be asked to stop where they are and submit their scoring sheet. We do have daily award winners for each age division, and those are given at the afternoon style show. So some potential skill areas, this is not a guarantee, but just to give you some ideas of things that you might see in that sewing skill-a-thon for the juniors. We might talk about machine parts, notions, equipment, pattern markings. They might have a portion where they're asked to sew a seam, a basting stitch, a permanent seam, different things related to some basic sewing skills. And the intermediate category, again, those machine parts, notions, equipments, pattern markings, and placement on fabric. So there's a progression of skills. So pattern markings that we're looking at with the juniors are going to be those basic pattern markings, whereas you might expect to see some additional pattern marking knowledge as we move into that intermediate and eventually advanced category. They might need to identify some basic fabrics. So, can they identify if something is wool or silk or cotton? And again, there might be a portion where they have some basic sewing skills that they have to demonstrate. And finally, in our senior category, which is the 15 and up, all of those same categories, all of those same skill areas. But as I mentioned, we're looking for a progression of knowledge and skills. So the things that they're asked to identify, they might also be asked to state the use if it's a notion. So not just what is it, but what would you use that for? Okay. Now, should note that we do have people that are grading these, very caring, lovely people, and so they're not taking off for spelling. And we do recognize that sometimes people call things different names. So there are some that definitely have a name that goes with that item. A bobbin is a bobbin is a bobbin. Okay, but there might be some where we notice that, okay, they're, depending on where they come from in the state, they call it something that's a slight variation of another name for it. So we're willing to take a look at those and be fair. So when we're judging that. So if you have any additional questions about fiber awards, special awards, or the Skill-a-thon, here's our contact information. Again, I'm Chris Kendle, and you can reach me at kendle.4@osu.edu. And I've also included the contact information for my colleagues, Shannon Carter and Jami Dellifield. And so we all take different areas of our that superintendent position and specialize in different things. So regardless of which of us you contact, we can get it directed to the right place. Did want to make a special note here before we wrap up about the State Fashion Board. And so the State Fashion Board is a group of outstanding 4-H teens from across the state that are interested in clothing and textiles. The board's purpose is to assist in conducting the state fair, 4-H fashion review. They also do 4-H clothing workshop sessions and promote Ohio 4-H clothing projects and programs. So it's a great group of young people. They're wonderful to work with. We're looking at developing youth. So with this fashion board, they are really doing a lot in terms of running that state fair 4-H fashion review component. They're checking youth in at judging areas. They're teaching them how to model. They're taking them up to the stage. They're narrating the fashion review. So it's a really great opportunity for growth. Individuals can be in both consumer and construction projects to be eligible for the fashion board. So this is our fashion board from a few years ago, and just a great group of individuals. Fortunately, I didn't have one from last year to show you, but it is a nice group of teens. Counties can nominate one 4-H clothing member to be selected as their state fashion board nominee. There are approximately 20 teams that are selected for a 1-year term, and members can only serve 1 term. So it's 1 time, 1 year that they're on the fashion board. Nominees are eligible for the Ohio State Fair Clothing Awards, and so it's not like you can only, if you're nominated for state fashion board, then you can't do one of the other special awards. You absolutely can. This is in addition to those special awards and fiber awards. Preference is given to members that are at least 14 years of age at the time of application. Selections for the 2021 board are going to be conducted during the 2020 Ohio State Fair Fashion Review. And so the nominee does need to complete a state fashion board application. Those can be found on the State Fair Guidebook. They need to submit that application at State Fair Clothing Judging Registration. So these do need to be individuals that are coming to the State Fair with a project category. And nominees will be interviewed during the State Fair clothing time and notified of selections within a few weeks after the Ohio State Fair. So if you'd like more information about the State Fashion Board, our colleague Larissa Hook takes care of the State Fashion Board. She provides supervision and is advisor for that State Fashion Board. So she's a great person to check with if you have any questions about the requirements or the activities of that board. So there's her contact information as well. So thank you. I hope that you have gained a lot of information from this. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. We hope to see you at the 2020 Ohio State Fair.